The cosmic dance between zodiac signs reveals fascinating dynamics that shape our personalities and interactions. Among these celestial relationships, few are as compelling as the subtle tension between fiery Aries and steadfast Capricorn. Welcome back to another journey through the stars, where today we're exploring the hidden jealousies that the ram harbors toward the sea goat. The zodiac wheel positions these powerful signs in a natural square aspect, creating friction, challenge, and ultimately growth. As cardinal signs, both Aries and Capricorn are natural leaders, but they approach this role through dramatically different paths. This fundamental difference creates a fascinating undercurrent of envy that many Aries natives might not even consciously recognize in themselves. Imagine the classic fable of the tortoise and the hare. Aries embodies that explosive, confident energy of the hare, quick to start, bursting with enthusiasm, and absolutely certain they'll cross the finish line first through sheer force of will. Meanwhile, Capricorn adopts the tortoise approach, methodical, consistent, and seemingly unbothered by the flashy displays happening around them. We all know how that story ends, and this outcome perfectly captures why Aries can't help but feel a twinge of jealousy when observing Capricorn's steady climb to the top. What makes this dynamic particularly interesting is that Aries would rarely admit to this envy. With Mars as their ruling planet, Aries prides themselves on their courage, independence, and pioneering spirit. They're the first sign of the zodiac, the cosmic trailblazers who charge fearlessly into the unknown. But beneath this confident exterior lies a secret admiration for Capricorn's ability to sustain their energy and manifest tangible results over time. The contrast becomes even more pronounced when we consider their elemental natures. Aries burns bright as a fire sign, quick to ignite, transformative, and requiring constant fuel to maintain their blaze. Capricorn, an earth sign, draws strength from the ground beneath them, building foundations that withstand the test of time. While fire captures immediate attention, earth endures. This fundamental difference creates a natural tension that fuels Aries' hidden jealousy. As we observe these signs in the wild, whether through friends, family members, or even celebrities who embody these energies, patterns emerge that confirm this cosmic rivalry. Think of the Aries who jumps from project to project, always chasing the next exciting beginning, but rarely seeing things through to completion. Then consider the Capricorn in your life, quietly advancing toward goals they set years ago, accumulating achievements that stand as testimony to their dedication. This comparison isn't about declaring one approach superior to the other. The zodiac needs both initiators and completers, visionaries and builders. Yet understanding the subtle jealousies between signs helps us navigate our own tendencies and appreciate qualities we might otherwise dismiss. For Aries, acknowledging their envy of Capricorn's patience and perseverance might be the first step toward developing these qualities within themselves. If you've ever felt that instantaneous connection with zodiac content that genuinely resonates with your experiences, take a moment now to hit subscribe and like this video. Our cosmic community grows stronger with each new stargazer who joins us on these explorations. Your engagement helps us continue creating the astrological insights that illuminate the complex dynamics between signs. As we delve deeper into the specific reasons behind this cosmic jealousy, you'll likely recognize patterns from your own interactions with the Aries and Capricorn people in your life. The first two reasons reveal fundamental differences in how these signs approach both opportunities and self-worth. Differences that create that initial spark of envy that burns within the ram's heart. The first reason Aries secretly harbors jealousy toward Capricorn lies in the sea goat's extraordinary patience, a virtue that allows them to build lasting empires, while Aries often watches their own hastily constructed ventures crumble. This fundamental difference manifests in countless scenarios throughout their lives. Consider how an Aries approaches a new project. With explosive enthusiasm, they dive headfirst into the excitement of beginnings, fueled by Mars' impulsive energy. Their ideas burst forth like fireworks, brilliant, captivating, and unfortunately often just as temporary. Meanwhile, Capricorn observes from a distance, carefully constructing a detailed blueprint before laying the first stone of their ambitions. They understand something that perpetually eludes Aries, that true achievement requires the patient cultivation of small, consistent efforts over time. While Aries plants 100 seeds and impatiently digs them up to check their progress, Capricorn tends to fewer plants with meticulous care, eventually harvesting fruits that sustain them for seasons to come. This patience extends beyond professional pursuits into personal development, and Aries might enthusiastically begin a fitness routine, pushing themselves to exhaustion in the first week, only to abandon the practice when immediate transformation doesn't materialize. Contrast this with Capricorn, who establishes a reasonable exercise schedule they can maintain for years, gradually sculpting their body through persistent effort rather than sporadic intensity. The jealousy deepens when Aries witnesses Capricorn's patience paying dividends in the form of substantial achievements. While Aries might have accumulated a collection of half-finished projects and abandoned dreams, Capricorn stands atop a mountain of completed goals, each one building upon the last to create something truly remarkable. This stark contrast forces Aries to confront an uncomfortable truth, that their natural inclination toward immediate action might be sabotaging their long-term success. What makes this particularly frustrating for Aries is that patience doesn't come naturally to them. Their ruling planet Mars endows them with a warrior's spirit that craves immediate action and visible progress. The idea of waiting years for results feels almost physically painful to their fire-dominant nature, yet they cannot deny the evidence before them. Capricorn's patience consistently produces the lasting success that Aries desperately desires but struggles to achieve through their preferred methods. Saturn's influence over Capricorn bestows this patience as an innate gift, making the virtue seem effortless to the sea goat. This apparent ease only intensifies Aries' envy, as they must fight against their natural impulses to cultivate even a fraction of Capricorn's restraint. It's like watching someone effortlessly speak a foreign language that you've been struggling to learn for years. The disparity in effort required creates a perfect breeding ground for jealousy. The second reason Aries envies Capricorn stems from the sea goat's unshakable self-confidence that emanates from within, making them mysteriously immune to the opinions and judgments that often derail the ram. This inner fortress of self-assurance presents a stark contrast to Aries' more externally validated sense of worth. Despite their bold exterior, Aries often measures their value through external achievements and recognition. They crave applause, accolades, and acknowledgement of their courage and leadership. Their confidence, while genuine, requires regular reinforcement from their environment, praise from colleagues, admiration from friends, recognition of their pioneering efforts. Without this external validation, Aries may begin to question their direction and worth, their fiery confidence requiring constant fuel from outside sources. Capricorn, however, possesses a quiet certainty that needs no external confirmation. Their self-worth emerges from an internal measurement system based on their own standards of excellence. They know precisely what they've accomplished, what remains to be done, and how their current position aligns with their long-term vision. This self-contained evaluation system creates a remarkable immunity to criticism that leaves Aries both baffled and envious. Observe how differently these signs respond to negative feedback. When criticized, Aries often reacts with immediate defensive fury, or alternatively, with deep wounds to their pride that can temporarily destabilize their confidence. Their first instinct is to either fight back or internalize the criticism as a significant blow to their self-image. Either response reveals how deeply external opinions affect their sense of self. Capricorn, conversely, receives criticism with a pragmatic detachment that borders on indifference. They calmly evaluate the feedback, extract any useful information that might improve their performance, and discard the rest without emotional attachment. This isn't because they lack sensitivity, but because their value system operates independently of others' assessments. They simply don't require external approval to know their worth. This self-contained confidence manifests in how these signs navigate social and professional environments. Aries often enters rooms with a loud presence, unconsciously seeking to establish their importance and gather the attention that validates their self-perception. Capricorn moves through the same spaces with quiet assurance, unconcerned with immediate recognition, knowing that their consistent performance will eventually speak for itself. The contrast becomes even more pronounced in times of failure or setback. When Aries experiences a significant disappointment, their confidence often suffers a proportional blow, requiring substantial external reassurance to rebuild. They might seek validation through social media posts, fishing for compliments, or dramatically change direction to pursue something with more immediate recognition potential. Their resilience, while considerable, depends partially on finding new sources of external validation. Capricorn approaches failure with a stoic resilience that seems almost superhuman to Aries. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and continue moving forward without the dramatic emotional fluctuations that characterize Aries' response to disappointment. Their confidence remains largely intact because it was never predicated on perfect success in the first place, but rather on their commitment to their personal standards regardless of outcome. This self-contained validation system gives Capricorn a mysterious power that Aries secretly covets: the ability to remain unmoved by the opinions, judgments, and criticisms that so often throw the ram off balance. In a world increasingly dominated by external metrics of success, likes, followers, public acclaim, Capricorn's internal compass represents a freedom that Aries deeply desires but struggles to achieve. What makes this envy particularly poignant is that Aries prides themselves on independence and self-sufficiency in almost every other area of life. To discover this fundamental dependency on external validation creates a cognitive dissonance that further fuels their jealousy of Capricorn's emotional autonomy. The ram wants to believe they need nothing and no one, yet finds themselves repeatedly seeking the approval and recognition that the sea-goat seems to effortlessly live without. As we explore the deeper layers of this cosmic rivalry, we begin to understand how these fundamental differences in patience and self-validation create the foundation for Aries' envy. These first two reasons reveal not just differences in approach, but profound variations in how these signs construct their identities and measure their worth in the world. The third reason Aries cannot help but envy Capricorn stems from the sea-goat's masterful strategic long-term planning that creates sustainable success, a stark contrast to Aries' often fragmented, right-now approach to life. This difference becomes apparent in how each sign navigates their path toward goals and ambitions. Capricorn possesses an almost uncanny ability to visualize the distant future, working backward to create a detailed roadmap from point A to point Z. They naturally think in terms of years and decades rather than days or weeks. This expansive time horizon allows them to make decisions that might seem counterintuitive in the short term, but yield extraordinary dividends over time. Like master chess players, they're willing to sacrifice a pawn in the present to secure checkmate 15 moves later. Consider how Capricorn approaches career development. Rather than chasing immediate promotions or salary increases, they often focus on building foundational skills and relationships that might not pay off for years. They'll take lateral moves to gain critical experience, invest time in mastering specialized knowledge, or even accept temporary setbacks if they align with their grander vision. This patient strategy often results in them surpassing more immediately ambitious colleagues in the long run. Aries, by contrast, operates within a compressed time frame that prioritizes immediate action and visible progress. Powered by Mars's urgent energy, they excel at sprinting toward the nearest target, but frequently lose sight of the marathon nature of true achievement. Their planning horizon typically extends weeks or months ahead, rarely years, making them vulnerable to short-sighted decisions that feel right in the moment but compromise their long-term trajectory. This difference manifests in financial management as well. Capricorn approaches wealth building as a decades-long process, methodically constructing a diversified portfolio designed to weather economic storms and compound over time. They'll happily forego immediate luxuries to maximize retirement contributions, investment opportunities, or emergency savings. Their financial decisions reflect a profound understanding that small, consistent choices accumulate into substantial outcomes over time. Aries often struggles with this long-view perspective on finances. Their impulsive nature makes them susceptible to lifestyle inflation, spontaneous purchases, and get-rich-quick schemes that promise immediate returns. While they might occasionally strike gold through bold financial moves, they typically lack the consistent strategy that allows Capricorn to build wealth gradually but inevitably. What makes this disparity particularly frustrating for Aries is watching Capricorn achieve seemingly overnight success that was in reality years in the making. By the time Aries notices Capricorn's achievements, the sea goat has typically been quietly working toward that outcome for a decade or more. This creates the illusion that Capricorn somehow skipped the struggle and materialized at the finish line, when in fact, they simply began the race before anyone else was watching. The envy deepens when Aries realizes that Capricorn's strategic planning extends beyond individual goals to encompass entire life architectures. Capricorn doesn't just plan for specific achievements. They design comprehensive systems that integrate career advancement, financial security, relationship development, and personal growth into a cohesive whole. This holistic approach creates a natural momentum where progress in one area supports advancement in others, resulting in a life that feels purposefully constructed rather than reactively assembled. Aries, with their compartmentalized approach to different life areas, often feels perpetually off balance, making progress in their career at the expense of relationships or focusing on personal development while financial planning falls by the wayside. They envy Capricorn's ability to advance on multiple fronts simultaneously through strategic integration rather than frantic multitasking. Perhaps most enviable is Capricorn's capacity to anticipate and prepare for obstacles long before they materialize. While Aries charges forward with optimistic blindness to potential roadblocks, Capricorn methodically identifies points of vulnerability in their plans and develops contingency strategies. This foresight allows them to navigate challenges with minimal disruption, maintaining momentum, while Aries repeatedly crashes into unforeseen barriers that derail their progress. The fourth reason fueling Aries' jealousy toward Capricorn centers on the natural respect and authority Capricorn effortlessly commands in professional and social settings, a quality Aries desperately craves but often finds elusive despite their best efforts. Walk into any boardroom, classroom, or community meeting where a Capricorn is present, and you'll likely notice a subtle but unmistakable deference extended to them. Even before they've spoken a word, there's something in their composed demeanor, measured movements, and steady gaze that signals competence and reliability. This unspoken authority creates a gravitational pull that naturally positions them as leaders, regardless of their official title. Aries, despite their natural leadership abilities, often finds themselves working twice as hard to earn half the respect automatically granted to Capricorn. The Ram's enthusiastic energy and bold assertions, qualities they believe should establish their leadership credentials, frequently come across as brash, impulsive, or even immature in professional contexts. Where Capricorn's quiet confidence inspires trust, Aries' passionate intensity sometimes triggers skepticism. This disparity becomes painfully apparent in group dynamics. When Capricorn offers an opinion, others lean in and listen attentively, treating their words as valuable insights worth careful consideration. The same suggestion from Aries might be quickly dismissed or subjected to intensive questioning. This differential treatment occurs not because Aries' ideas lack merit, but because they haven't established the credibility foundation that Capricorn seems to possess by default. What makes this particularly maddening for Aries is that Capricorn rarely seems to actively seek this authority. They don't promote themselves aggressively or demand recognition, yet somehow they receive both in abundance. Meanwhile, Aries' explicit efforts to position themselves as leaders often backfire, coming across as status-seeking or self-important. The very assertiveness that Aries believes should establish their leadership actually undermines it, creating a frustrating paradox. The contrast becomes even more pronounced during crises or high-pressure situations. When challenges arise, people instinctively look to Capricorn for direction and reassurance. Something about their composed steadiness communicates that they can handle whatever comes, a perception reinforced by their track record of methodical problem-solving. Aries, despite possibly having more innovative solutions, finds others hesitant to follow their lead during uncertainty, perceiving their intensity as potential volatility rather than decisive action. This automatic respect extends beyond professional environments into social dynamics. Capricorn's opinions on everything from politics to restaurant choices carry an implicit weight that influences group decisions. Their approval matters in ways that can shape collective behavior. Aries, while often more vocal about their preferences, may find their influence more limited in practice, with their suggestions politely acknowledged but frequently overridden. The jealousy intensifies when Aries observes how this natural authority accelerates Capricorn's advancement. Doors open, opportunities materialize, and exceptions are made for Capricorn based on their reputation alone, while Aries must repeatedly prove themselves worthy of the same considerations. This differential treatment creates a professional head start that compounds over time, with each achievement building upon the last to further solidify Capricorn's standing. What Aries may not fully appreciate is that this automatic respect isn't arbitrary, but earned through Capricorn's consistent demonstration of integrity, follow-through, and sound judgment. Over time, Capricorn builds a reputation as someone who delivers on promises, maintains composure under pressure, and makes decisions that withstand retrospective scrutiny. This track record, rather than any mysterious quality, generates the respect they receive. Nevertheless, the disparity creates a persistent undercurrent of envy, as Aries struggles to reconcile their self-perception as natural leaders with others' hesitation to treat them as such. This gap between expectation and reality fuels a quiet determination to somehow crack the code of effortless authority that Capricorn seems to have mastered without trying. As we continue exploring the complex dynamics between these powerful signs, we see how their fundamental differences in planning horizons and natural authority create both friction and opportunity for growth. These disparities don't diminish either sign's unique strengths, but highlight how different approaches to leadership and achievement can yield dramatically different responses from the world around them. The fifth reason Aries finds themselves envying Capricorn lies in the sea goat's remarkable emotional self-control, a quality that prevents the regrettable outbursts and impulsive reactions that often plague the ram. This distinction becomes most apparent during moments of pressure, conflict, or provocation, when the fundamental temperaments of these signs reveal themselves in starkly different ways. Capricorn possesses an almost supernatural ability to maintain composure regardless of circumstance. Whether facing a professional crisis, personal attack, or unexpected calamity, they respond with a measured calm that suggests nothing could possibly rattle their internal equilibrium. Their emotions, while deeply felt, remain carefully contained within boundaries they establish and maintain with disciplined precision. This control isn't about suppression, but rather about channeling emotional energy productively rather than explosively. Consider how a Capricorn handles criticism in a professional setting. When their work is questioned or faults are pointed out, they typically respond with thoughtful consideration rather than defensive reactivity. They absorb the feedback, separate useful insights from irrelevant opinions, and incorporate constructive elements into their approach without allowing the experience to destabilize their emotional state. This measured response preserves their professional relationships and reputation even in difficult exchanges. Aries, by contrast, often experiences emotions as immediate, overwhelming forces that demand expression. When criticized, their Mars-ruled nature frequently triggers an instantaneous defensive response, ranging from passionate self-justification to fiery counterattacks that can escalate minor disagreements into significant conflicts. Even when they manage to restrain their immediate reaction, The effort required is often visible in their flushed face, tense posture, or barely contained energy. This emotional reactivity creates a pattern of regret that becomes increasingly frustrating for Aries over time. They find themselves apologizing for harsh words spoken in anger, repairing relationships damaged by impulsive reactions, or attempting to recover professional ground lost during moments of unchecked emotion. These recurring patterns create a wearying cycle of emotional expression, followed by necessary damage control, a cycle Capricorn rarely experiences due to their consistent self-regulation. What makes this disparity particularly enviable is how Capricorn's emotional control translates into a reputation for reliability and steadiness. People feel safe bringing problems to Capricorn, knowing they'll receive a measured response rather than an emotional reaction. This perception creates opportunities for leadership, confidential information sharing, and crisis management that might not be extended to more volatile Aries. The world rewards Capricorn's emotional consistency with increased trust and responsibility. The envy deepens when Aries realizes that Capricorn's emotional control isn't merely a professional asset, but a personal superpower that preserves their energy and peace of mind. While Aries exhaust themselves with emotional highs and lows, Capricorn maintains a steady baseline that allows them to direct their energy toward productive pursuits rather than emotional recovery. This efficiency creates a significant advantage in everything from workplace productivity to relationship stability. Perhaps most frustrating for Aries is watching Capricorn navigate high-stakes situations with the same calm demeanor they bring to routine matters. Whether negotiating million-dollar contracts, addressing relationship conflicts, or handling family crises, Capricorn maintains their characteristic composure, making sound decisions uncompromised by emotional distortion. Aries, whose judgment often becomes clouded under emotional pressure, can't help but envy this consistent clarity. It's worth noting that Capricorn's emotional control doesn't stem from emotional disconnection or suppression, as Aries might sometimes assume. Rather, it emerges from Saturn's influence, which teaches Capricorn the value of appropriate timing and containment. They feel deeply but choose when and how to express those feelings based on considered judgment rather than immediate impulse. This distinction between emotional absence and emotional mastery represents a subtlety that Aries may not initially appreciate. The jealousy becomes particularly acute when Aries witnesses how Capricorn's emotional self-regulation enhances their negotiating position and personal power. By revealing only what they choose when they choose, Capricorn maintains an information advantage in interactions where Aries' transparency might leave them vulnerable. This strategic opacity serves Capricorn well in contexts ranging from salary negotiations to poker games, creating advantages that more emotionally expressive Aries rarely enjoys. The sixth reason underlying Aries' envy toward Capricorn centers on the sea goat's extraordinary ability to delay gratification, a discipline that allows them to accumulate rewards far greater than those available through immediate satisfaction. This capacity for strategic postponement manifests across domains from career advancement to personal development, creating substantial long-term advantages that impulsive Aries both admires and struggles to replicate. Capricorn intuitively understands a fundamental principle that often eludes Aries, that the most valuable rewards typically require extended periods of investment, effort, and patience before materializing. They approach life with the mentality of a skilled farmer who recognizes that harvest comes only after seasons of planting, tending, and waiting. This agricultural patience, likely influenced by their earth element and Saturn's time-oriented governance, allows them to work consistently toward goals whose fulfillment may lie years or even decades in the future. Observe how this principle manifests in Capricorn's approach to career development. Rather than pursuing quick promotions or immediate recognition, they often focus on building substantive expertise and meaningful contributions that establish an unshakable foundation for future advancement. They'll happily spend years mastering complex skills, understanding systemic operations, and building strategic relationships, knowing these investments will yield exponential returns when properly leveraged at the right moment. Aries, conversely, frequently finds themselves chasing immediate wins and visible achievements that provide quick validation but limited long-term value. Their Mars-driven nature craves the immediate dopamine rush of accomplishment, making them vulnerable to choices that maximize short-term gains at the expense of greater future possibilities. This preference for immediate gratification creates a pattern where Aries repeatedly finds themselves plateauing just as Capricorn begins their most significant ascent. The contrast becomes particularly evident in financial management. Capricorn approaches wealth building as a decades-long process, requiring consistent discipline and strategic restraint. They'll live below their means, maximize retirement contributions, and carefully research investment opportunities, sacrificing immediate luxuries to build substantial security and abundance for their future selves. This measured approach creates a compound effect, where early sacrifices generate exponential returns over time. Aries often struggles with this financial patience, finding themselves drawn to immediate enjoyment of resources rather than delayed rewards. The impulse to celebrate current successes with visible purchases or experiences frequently overrides the more abstract benefits of long-term investment. While this approach yields immediate pleasure, it creates a perpetual cycle where Aries works primarily for current consumption rather than future freedom, a pattern that becomes increasingly frustrating as they watch Capricorn's patient investments mature into significant wealth. What makes this disparity particularly enviable is how Capricorn's delayed gratification compound across multiple life domains simultaneously. Their patient investments in career development generate increasing income that fuels financial investments. Their consistent relationship nurturing creates stable personal foundations that support professional risks. Their gradual health investments maintain the energy and longevity needed for long-term achievement. These interlocking systems create an acceleration effect, where patience in one area enhances returns in others. The jealousy intensifies when Aries observes how Capricorn's delayed gratification capacity translates into freedom of choice and action over time. While Aries' immediate gratification approach often creates constraints through debt, limited savings, or career limitations, Capricorn's patient accumulation gradually expands their options and autonomy. The ability to make choices based on preference rather than necessity represents a form of power that materializes slowly but profoundly as a reward for Capricorn's disciplined waiting. This capacity for delayed gratification extends beyond material concerns into knowledge acquisition and skill development. Capricorn approaches learning as a lifelong process, willingly investing thousands of hours to achieve mastery in areas that interest them. They understand that true expertise requires sustained engagement rather than sporadic intensity, a marathon approach that creates depth and nuance impossible to achieve through Aries' preferred sprints of concentrated effort. Perhaps most enviable is how Capricorn's delayed gratification transforms into a pervasive sense of earned confidence and satisfaction. Having built their achievements through consistent effort over time, they possess a deep-rooted certainty in their capabilities and accomplishments that cannot be easily shaken by setbacks or criticism. This solid foundation creates a quiet pride that differs qualitatively from the more volatile confidence Aries experiences through immediate achievements. As we examine these fifth and sixth sources of Aries' envy toward Capricorn, we see how fundamental differences in emotional regulation and delayed gratification create divergent life trajectories for these powerful signs. These contrasts highlight not only their different approaches to success, but also the varying forms of satisfaction and fulfillment available through their distinct paths. The seventh reason Aries secretly envies Capricorn emerges from the sea goat's reliable reputation, a powerful social and professional currency that opens doors remaining firmly closed to the more erratic ram. This distinction represents not merely a difference in perception, but a fundamental divergence in how these signs approach commitment, consistency, and follow-through. Capricorn cultivates reliability as carefully as a vintner tends to precious grapevines, understanding that trust requires years to establish but only moments to damage. When they commit to a deadline, project, or responsibility, they approach it with unwavering seriousness. Their word becomes an unbreakable contract, not because they fear the consequences of breaking it, but because their internal value system demands absolute integrity between statement and action. This alignment creates a predictable consistency that others come to depend upon without question. Consider how this reliability manifests in professional contexts. When a Capricorn promises delivery by Friday, colleagues instinctively know they can build dependent plans for Monday without contingencies. When they take responsibility for a critical component of a group project, team members can effectively forget about that element, knowing it will be handled with competence and thoroughness. This dependability creates a foundation of trust that accumulates interest over time, eventually becoming one of Capricorn's most valuable professional assets. Aries, despite their genuine intentions and passionate commitments, struggles to establish this same reputation for reliability. Their enthusiasm for new projects often leads them to overcommit, while their dislike of routine makes consistent follow-through challenging. Their Mars-ruled nature loves beginnings, but grows restless with maintenance, creating a pattern of brilliant starts followed by waning interest as the initial excitement fades. This inconsistency, even when unintentional, gradually erodes others' willingness to depend on them for crucial matters. The contrast becomes painfully apparent in how opportunities are distributed. When important responsibilities arise, the career-defining project, the high-visibility presentation, the management of a critical client relationship, they gravitate naturally toward Capricorn's proven dependability rather than Aries' unpredictable brilliance. Given a choice between consistent competence and occasional genius, organizations typically prefer the former for their most valuable initiatives, creating an advantage gap that widens over time. What makes this disparity particularly enviable is how Capricorn's reliability translates into a form of passive power. Their established reputation means they rarely need to assert authority explicitly. It flows naturally from others' recognition of their consistent performance. This effortless influence allows Capricorn to shape decisions, secure resources, and advance agendas with minimal resistance, creating a frictionless path to achievement that more volatile Aries can only dream about. The envy deepens when Aries observes how Capricorn's reliability compounds into increasing autonomy and freedom. Paradoxically, by consistently meeting expectations, Capricorn earns the right to operate with decreasing oversight. Their proven track record creates a protective bubble of trust, where they can experiment, take calculated risks, and occasionally fail without damaging their fundamental credibility. This earned latitude represents a form of professional freedom that Aries, despite their strong independent streak, rarely enjoys due to their more unpredictable performance patterns. Perhaps most frustrating for Aries is realizing that reliability isn't merely about discipline, but about realistic self-assessment. Capricorn's reputation stems partly from their careful commitment filtering. They promise only what they're certain they can deliver, building in buffer zones for unexpected complications. This cautious approach means they consistently exceed expectations rather than struggling to meet them. Aries, with their optimistic assessment of their own capabilities and time availability, frequently finds themselves overextended and under-delivering despite genuine efforts. The reliability gap extends beyond professional contexts into personal relationships, where Capricorn's consistency creates deep roots of trust and security. Friends know they can call Capricorn in crisis and receive steady support. Family members depend on their unwavering presence at important gatherings. Partners rely on their consistent emotional availability and practical contributions. This relational dependability creates intimate connections, characterized by depth and permanence, qualities that relationship-oriented Aries desires but struggles to cultivate through their more sporadic attention patterns. This seventh source of envy reveals a painful truth for Aries, that their self-perception as boldly independent may sometimes serve as compensation for not being considered dependable enough for others to rely upon. While they prize their freedom and spontaneity, they secretly long for the depth of trust and responsibility that Capricorn's reliability naturally attracts. The eighth reason Aries harbors jealousy toward Capricorn centers on the sea goat's capacity to find profound satisfaction through mastery and depth, a fulfillment that remains largely inaccessible to Aries through their perpetual pursuit of novelty and excitement. This fundamental difference in how these signs experience satisfaction reveals contrasting approaches to meaning-making and personal fulfillment. Capricorn possesses an extraordinary capacity for deep engagement with specific domains, disciplines, or practices. They approach mastery as a lifelong journey rather than a destination, finding genuine pleasure in the incremental improvements that come through sustained attention and refined technique. Whether developing professional expertise, cultivating artistic skills, or building relationship depth, they experience a special satisfaction in knowing something thoroughly rather than superficially, in becoming truly exceptional at pursuits they value. This depth orientation manifests in Capricorn's approach to knowledge and skill development. Rather than sampling widely across different interests, they typically focus intensively on selected areas, accumulating layers of understanding that transform into wisdom over time. Their learning isn't merely collection, but integration. Each new insight or technique connects meaningfully with existing knowledge, creating a richly textured comprehension that continues expanding throughout their lifetime. Aries, by contrast, experiences the world primarily through beginnings, the exciting initial exploration of new territories, ideas, relationships, and pursuits. Their Mars-ruled nature thrives on discovery, innovation, and the adrenaline rush of novelty. While this exploratory drive creates a life rich with diverse experiences and broad knowledge, it often prevents the sustained engagement necessary for developing true mastery or experiencing the unique satisfaction that comes through depth. The distinction becomes apparent in how these signs approach their vocations. Capricorn often selects a professional domain or craft early and remains within it for decades, gradually ascending from novice to expert through persistent refinement. Their career narrative typically follows a coherent trajectory where each position builds logically upon previous experience, creating cumulative expertise that makes them increasingly valuable and effective within their chosen field. Aries frequently pursues a more varied professional path, changing directions whenever their current position loses its initial challenge and excitement. While this approach provides stimulating diversity, it often prevents the development of the specialized expertise that creates exceptional value and satisfaction in later career stages. The restart pattern means Aries may perpetually remain in early or mid-level positions across different fields rather than achieving the pinnacle mastery that Capricorn naturally pursues. What makes this disparity particularly enviable is how Capricorn's depth orientation creates access to rarefied forms of satisfaction unavailable through Aries' breadth approach. There exists a unique fulfillment that comes only through true mastery, a harmonious flow state where accumulated skill meets creative intuition to produce work of exceptional quality with apparent effortlessness. This transcendent experience, available primarily through sustained dedication, remains largely theoretical for novelty-seeking Aries. The envy intensifies when Aries observes the quiet pride Capricorn takes in work refined through thousands of hours of dedicated practice. While Aries may produce more varied outputs across different domains, they rarely experience the deep satisfaction of creating something that represents the absolute fullness of their capability, work that embodies mastery rather than merely competence. This qualitative difference creates a fulfillment gap that becomes increasingly apparent in midlife and beyond. Perhaps most significant is how Capricorn's depth orientation affects their experience of meaning and purpose. By committing to sustained engagement with specific domains, they develop relationships with their chosen pursuits that transcend initial interest to become defining life themes. Their identity intertwines with their areas of mastery, creating a sense of purpose that remains stable despite changing external circumstances. This rooted connection to meaningful work provides an anchoring satisfaction that Aries, despite their passionate enthusiasms, often finds elusive. The depth-breadth contrast extends into relationships, where Capricorn typically cultivates fewer but deeper connections characterized by layered understanding, developed over years or decades. They experience a special satisfaction in knowing a few people profoundly rather than many people superficially, in witnessing and participating in the unfolding of another's life story over time. This relational depth creates a rich emotional sustenance that Aries, with their tendency toward wider but sometimes shallower social networks, may secretly envy. As we conclude our exploration of these 8 sources of Aries' envy toward Capricorn, we discover not merely differences in approach, but fundamentally distinct paths to meaning, achievement, and fulfillment. Neither path invalidates the other. The zodiac wheel requires both pioneers and masters, innovators and sustainers. Yet understanding these contrasting strengths illuminates the complex emotional dynamics between these powerful signs and reveals opportunities for mutual growth through appreciation of their complementary gifts. The ram's envy of the sea goat, when consciously recognized and constructively channeled, can inspire Aries to develop greater patience, consistency, and depth while still honoring their natural boldness and initiative. Similarly, Capricorn might secretly admire Aries' courage, enthusiasm, and innovative spirit, qualities that could infuse their disciplined approach with welcome vitality and freshness. In this cosmic dance of contrasting energies, each sign holds precisely the medicine the other most needs for wholeness. As we've journeyed through the celestial dynamics between Aries and Capricorn, we've uncovered 8 profound reasons why the bold ram might secretly envy the steadfast sea goat. This cosmic rivalry reveals not merely personality differences, but fundamentally distinct approaches to achievement, fulfillment, and life navigation that create a fascinating interplay between these powerful signs. We began by exploring Capricorn's extraordinary patience, their ability to build empires through methodical persistence, while Aries often watches their hastily constructed ventures crumble through impulsive action. This fundamental difference in temporal orientation creates divergent achievement patterns that become increasingly apparent over time. We then examined Capricorn's unshakable self-confidence that emanates from within, making them mysteriously immune to the opinions and criticisms that so often derail Aries' progress. This internal validation system provides Capricorn with an emotional autonomy that Aries, despite their independent nature, struggles to achieve while remaining dependent on external recognition. Our exploration continued with Capricorn's strategic long-term planning that creates sustainable success through comprehensive systems rather than isolated efforts. This integrated approach allows them to advance steadily, while Aries frequently finds themselves starting over after their right now mentality leads to fragmented progress and abandoned initiatives. We discovered how Capricorn effortlessly commands natural respect and authority in professional and social settings, a quality Aries desperately craves but often finds elusive despite their natural leadership abilities. This automatic deference creates opportunities and advantages for Capricorn that Aries must work twice as hard to access. The 5th reason revealed Capricorn's remarkable emotional self-control that prevents the regrettable outbursts and damaged relationships that frequently plague impulsive Aries. This emotional discipline preserves Capricorn's energy and reputation, while Aries exhaust themselves with reactive patterns requiring constant damage control. We then explored Capricorn's extraordinary ability to delay gratification, a discipline that allows them to accumulate rewards far greater than those available through immediate satisfaction. This patient investment approach creates compound benefits across life domains that impulsive Aries both admires and struggles to replicate. Our 7th point illuminated how Capricorn's reliable reputation opens doors that remain firmly closed to more inconsistent Aries. This dependability creates a foundation of trust that accumulates interest over time, becoming one of Capricorn's most valuable professional and personal assets. Finally, we examined how Capricorn finds profound satisfaction through mastery and depth, a fulfillment largely inaccessible to Aries through their perpetual pursuit of novelty. This orientation towards sustained engagement creates access to rarefied forms of meaning and accomplishment that remain theoretical for breath-seeking Aries. These contrasts do not diminish either sign's inherent gifts, but rather highlight the cosmic balance required for wholeness. Aries brings necessary innovation, courage, and initiative to a world that equally needs Capricorn's discipline, reliability, and strategic thinking. When these signs recognize their complementary strengths, they can form powerful alliances that combine bold vision with sustainable execution. If you found resonance in this astrological exploration, we invite you to deepen your journey with us at Secret of the Zodiac. Our channel delivers daily insights into zodiac dynamics that illuminate your relationships, personal development, and understanding of the cosmic forces shaping your experience. Subscribe now to receive notifications for our daily uploads, exploring everything from sign compatibilities to planetary influences on your life path. Each video offers practical wisdom for navigating relationships, career decisions, and personal growth through astrological understanding. We also encourage you to explore our extensive library of previous videos covering all 12 zodiac signs and their complex interactions. Whether you're seeking insights about your own sign or understanding the important people in your life, our comprehensive collection offers valuable perspective on the cosmic patterns influencing your journey. Your engagement fuels our ability to create more content. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends who might benefit from these insights, and leave a comment below sharing which of these 8 reasons resonated most strongly with your experience of Aries and Capricorn dynamics. Do you recognize these patterns in yourself or people you know? Which additional zodiac comparisons would you like us to explore in future videos? Finally, if you find consistent value in our astrological insights, please consider supporting our work through Super Thanks. This direct contribution helps cover the costs of research, production, and daily content creation, while enabling us to maintain our commitment to high-quality astrological education. Your support allows us to continue bringing you regular, in-depth explorations of zodiac wisdom without compromising on quality or frequency. Thank you for joining us on this cosmic journey through the fascinating dynamics between Aries and Capricorn. Until our stars align again in tomorrow's exploration, may your path be illuminated by the wisdom of the zodiac.